Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this patchwork sweater vest. So if you're new to my channel and you're interested in crochet content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you. So the materials that I used for this project is, of course, your yarn and your crochet hook, scissors, a measuring tape, and a darning needle to sew all the patches together. So the yarn that I used for this project is this is a worsted weight yarn by Premier Yarns, and this yarn calls for a 5.5mm crochet hook, and that is exactly what I used. I used 6 different colors, but the gray color among these 6 colors is what I used for the ribbon of my work. So for the patches, I used 5 colors, which are red, white, yellow, green, and black. So, and another thing that you would need is that I didn't put here now is buttons. So I used 3 large buttons to button my vest together. So the first thing you want to do is to grab your measuring tape and take some measurements. And there are 2 main measurements that we need for this project. The first is your bust, and this will help you to determine how wide you want this vest to be. And the second is your length, which will help determine how long you want the vest to be. So I'm making this vest for a size medium, and the measurements I'm using for the bust is size 44, and for the length is 23 inches. My measurements are in inches. So what you want to do is to divide your bust measurement by 2. So when I divide my bust measurement by 2, I have 22 inches. So that's how wide the front would be, and that's also how wide the back would be. And I also subtracted 1 inch from the length of the vest, which is going to be for the ribbon. So I'm having a square of 22 inches by 22 inches for the front and for the back. Now that's a large square, but we still have to determine the size of each square. That's the size of each patch on the vest. And to do that, I just divided each of those values by 4. So 22 divided by 4 and 22 divided by 4, both for the length and for the breadth of the vest. So I ended up with 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches for each square. So, and you can also take a screenshot at this point so that you know how to arrange your squares, which colors to put in which places. This is the color arrangement that I used. If you notice, the colors are aligned diagonally. So I start with black, then white, then red, then green, and then they just align diagonally across the whole vest. So if you look carefully at all the shapes that I have here, you will see that it's not only squares that we are going to be making in this work. We're also going to be making triangles or trapezium or whatever you want to call them. And this is what brings out the shape of the neck in the front and in the back of the work. But basically we have our rough estimate of what each square is going to be, what the size of each square. So I'm going to show you how to crochet each and every one of these shapes. There are 4 shapes in total. The first one is just the regular square, which takes up majority of the vest. So to crochet this vest, what you want to do is to chain 17. You skip 2 chains and then make 1/2 double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook, and then just put 1/2 double crochet into all the remaining chains until the end of that row. And so at the end of that row, you should just have 15 half double crochets. So what you want to do is to chain 2, turn your work, and then put 1/2 double crochet into all the stitches, and then repeat that row 2 until you have 12 rows. So in summary, your first shape, which is your square, is made up of 12 rows of 15 half double crochets. And for this particular square, we are making a total of 26 pieces. That is 14 pieces for the back and 12 pieces for the front. So the second shape that you'll be making is this shape at the back. I don't know if you like to call it a trapezium or what you want to call it, but it's for the back, it's for the neck, and you're making only 2 pieces of this shape. So you want to start by chaining 17, and then you put 1/2 double crochet into the 3rd chain. That means you're skipping 2 chains for your turning chain, and then just put 1/2 double crochet into all the remaining 14 stitches, and that way you have 15/2 double crochet for your first row. On the 2nd row up until the 8th row, we're just going to put 1/2 double crochet into all the stitches. So you chain 2, 1/2 double crochet, 1/2 double crochet, and then you repeat it until you have 8 rows. Now is when you get to row 9 that things change, because we have to decrease on one side to form that opening for the neck. So on row 9, you just chain 2, you put 1/2 double crochet into the first 4 stitches. Okay, and just stop there. Okay, you're not going to make everything, you're just going to put first 4 stitches and stop there, and then you chain to turn your work, and now you decrease, you do a 1/2 double crochet 2 together into the first 2 stitches, and then you put 1/2 double crochet into the remaining stitches. For row 11, what you want to do is to chain 2, 1/2 double crochet into the first stitch. You're not decreasing on that side because that side is going to remain straight, and then you're going to put 1/2 double crochet into the first stitch, and then 1/2 double crochet 2 together into the remaining 2 stitches, and then chain 2, turn your work, just then put 1/2 double crochet 2 together into the last 2 stitches, because at this point only 2 stitches would remain. And at this point you should have 12 rows already, because we did 8 rows of no decrease and then 4 rows of decrease. So for the front, you see that the front has two shapes other than the squares that you are making. There's this trapezium that is in the front that I'm going to show you how to crochet. This is the shape. So you want to start by chaining 17, and then you make 15/2 double crochets like we've done before, and that's for your row 1. And then row 2 and row 3, you are going to do the same thing as your row 1. So you have 3 rows of just your block. And then for row 4, you're going to chain 2 and put 1/2 double crochet 2 together. That means you are decreasing into the first 2 stitches, and then 1/2 double crochet into the remaining stitches. But for row 5, when you are coming back, you're not going to decrease on the first stitch. So row 5, you chain 2 and put 1/2 double crochet into all the stitches until you get to the last 2 stitches. Okay, and then you decrease into the last 2 stitches. So for row 4, row 6, row 8, row 10, and row 12, you are going to be decreasing on the first 2 stitches. And then for row 5 and row 7, row 9, and 11, you are going to decrease on the last 2 stitches. Okay, that's just a summary of the whole thing. And now the last piece, which is the tiniest triangle in the front that we're going to make, we're going to chain 8. So we're going to make 8 chains, and then make 6/2 double crochet for your first row. So chain 8, skip 2 stitches, walk into the 3rd stitch, and then 1/2 double crochet into all the stitches. You have 6/2 double crochets. And then from your row 2, you decrease into your first 2 stitches. Then you should have 5/2 double crochets remaining at this point. But for row 3, you are not going to do any decrease at all. Okay, so row 3, just put 1/2 double crochet into all the stitches. And then for row 4, we're going to decrease in the first 2 stitches, and then 1/2 double crochet into the rest. And row 5, we are not going to do any decrease at all. And I just want to keep alternating between decrease on one side and no decrease at all on both sides until you have 10 rows. Okay, so 10 rows until you have 10 rows. Yeah. Now, once you've made all your patches, you can see I have the back assembled here. You want to assemble all the patches together like you want them to look like. And I think this is what makes the vest look so beautiful because of the arrangement, the color, how they've been arranged. So you could adopt this, or you could use your own color palette. And then you can see those two trapezium that we made for the back at the edge. That's what forms the neck, the opening for the neck at the back. And so this is the front. What you want to do now at this point is to sew all these patches together using a darning needle, or you could single crochet them together, but I used a darning needle to sew my patches together. This is the front. You see, this is those shapes that form the V neck portion of the vest. So now you just want to assemble them together and sew all your patches together. So once you've sewn all of them together, what you want to do now is to sew them at the shoulder seams. Place them right sides together and sew at the shoulder seams. And now that I'm done with that, I'm going to show you how I crochet the ribbon. Well, I'm going to tell you the pattern of how to crochet the ribbon. So for the ribbon of the armhole, which we're going to make 2 pieces, the pattern for this is 50 rows of 5 single crochet in back loops only. Don't be confused. Let me break that down. What that means is that you chain 6 and make 1 single crochet into 5 chains, and then you chain 1 and walk into the back loops and keep making single crochets into all the 5 stitches until you have 50 rows. So you're going to make 2 pieces, and then you're going to just sew them onto the shoulder, making sure that the center aligns with the shoulder seams. So once you're done sewing them on, what you want to do now is to fold the 2 pieces in 2, right sides together. And now we are going to sew along the sides of the vest. Quite straightforward. And then once you've sewn along the side of the vest, now we are going to attach the bottom ribbon. But don't panic. The bottom ribbon, I'll tell you how I got the pattern. So that bottom ribbon is made of 120 rows of 10 single crochets in back loops only. So what I did is that I chained 11, and then I put 1 single crochet into 10 chains, and then chain 1 at the end, turn my work, and then start working into the back loops. And this is what creates the ribbon pattern. So walk into the back loops of 10 single crochets and repeat that until you have 120 rows. And let me tell you how how I ended up with 120 rows. It's quite simple. All our squares at the bottom of the vest, all those squares each have 15 stitches. Okay, so all the squares are 15 stitches, and we have 8 squares at the bottom, 4 at the back, 4 at the front. So when you add all of them together, just say 15 times 8, you have 180. Sorry, you have 120 stitch. 120 stitches. So if each stitch is going to line up with a row of ribbon, we're going to make 120 rows of our ribbon. Okay. So what you want to do when you've made your ribbon, you're going to sew them onto the bottom of your vest. And now we are going to walk around the inside where our buttons and our buttonholes are going to be. So for the inside pattern, what I did was that I just inserted my hook and attached my yarn, and then I made 1 single crochet into all the stitches or all the rows around the body and around the neck and down to the sides, down to the body again. And then I chain 1 and I repeated that pattern for 5 rows. But on my 3rd row, I made the buttonholes. Okay, and I'm not showing that in depth here, but I guess you get the idea. I made the buttonholes, and then buttonholes was just a chain of 3, and then I skipped 3 stitches, and then I continue making my single crochets. And on my 4th and 5th rows, I just make single crochets into all the stitches over and over again until I'm satisfied with the with how wide that ribbon is, which was just 5 rows of single crochets. Okay, so at this point, what you want to do is just weave in all your loose ends and sew on your buttons, and that's it. You are done with this patchwork sweater vest. This is the finished product. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.